love for you to build on what you said, because I think that that's where the real conversation's going is like, okay, like if you want to build this layer that everybody's going to talk to, you probably need to start using GitHub, right? Like you need to start dropping some stuff in here so people can talk. You might need to start using Claude Cowork, or, like Codex is really for like a power user if you're a big ChatGPT person, or Claude Code. Like, but how do you get the whole company elevated? I think is that next conversation where I think it's going to go into like.
So being an engineer, I love AI so much that on the side I do help and consult on AI. Doing actually a class next week with a local sales company about it. You brought up GitHub. So the hardest part about AI right now is that it's, we all hear the 80-20, they're 20% is 80% of the work. Those people are off and running because they are creating their own ecosystem that just OPs them, right? Overpowers them. But what does it look like company-wide? So we have 14 people here. How do you set standards so that everybody's not running in a million directions? I just read an article this week about somebody at Amazon. Their entire job is to find agents in Amazon. And he said they are finding every team. It's so easy to stand up an agent. I mean, I explained to you, it's literally a folder system. It's so easy to stand up an agent for a semi-technical person that the company is just running wild and it's turning into just this mess of spaghetti. So to me, it's actually it's a weird personality that has to solve for this, because not only do you have to be an operations person, which are people, they're not technology people. You also need to have a technology person, an IT-like mind, and those people usually don't cross over very well. And so the thing that I have focused on a lot in my business is, what is the operational structure? What is the org structure? I think the businesses that get out ahead are going to have org charts that mix both people and agents into them, and have very clear, definitive, like, this is where the agent stops, or this is where the human starts, or vice versa. So you brought up GitHub. That's the best way I know how to do it right now. You can put these folder, right? You just put a folder into GitHub, and then a bit of a technical term, but even my non-technical people have to have IDE. So the IDEs that we use are either Anti-Gravity from Google or VS Code, which Anti-Gravity was built on VS Code, if that matters. But these are development environments. And so people see this, non-technical people see these tools and they're like, that is nope.
Like in Ubuntu, like let's spin up some Python, right? Like there's all these layers from an engineering standpoint that you have to put together to utilize these things in these environments. And it's new for a lot of marketers.
It's very new. And so we've pushed, so my SEO, which was interesting, my SEO team was more excited about the IDEs than the development teams. We develop internally, we develop all in WordPress. If we build outside of WordPress, we'll partner with an agency. That's usually when we're getting into larger clients. But the WordPress developers do not want to touch the IDE. They're like, I don't know what this is. I don't know how to use it. I know how to move block and code editors around inside of Elementor or whatever they're using. Where the SEO team, on the SEO team, we have non-technical SEOs, which means like the link builders and the content writers. Those people end up on the SEO team. And then obviously we have the back-end technical SEO people. But the non-technical SEO people took to it right away because they recognized how easy it was to fix a lot of their spreadsheets or connect to something and use an API to pull data faster. Like, oh, I was doing this all manually. Now I can just connect, pull it in. I can push it up into a spreadsheet, or I can write an app script with this, put that into a spreadsheet. So it's given them, they've just sprinted away with it. It's been incredible. I'm like super proud of that team. Disclaimer on the ID, when you get into it, again, a little outside the scope of this, but learn what a .env file is really fast. Like if I give you one security protocol, like understand, like
don't share it in the field, because then it'll go to whatever place is processing it. So I think the next layer after this, Cameron, is like, I mean, and this is where we're at, right? Like if people want to know like where we're at, we're exploring setting up some of the open source. Like there's new stuff that's just come out that it doesn't take as much setup as it did in the past. And putting it on a server where all the data stays, and you're talking about like legal clients or, HIPAA with doctors and stuff like that. A lot of these clients, you got to use the enterprise tier to get the terms of service where they're not going to do anything with the data. But keeping it on your own server, keeping all that information in house is where kind of legal and medical that's like in these regulated industries. That's really what their big concern is, because I mean, think about these major LLM companies or AI companies, what do you want to call it, technology companies, have everyone's data. And I mean, like, oops, those keys are gone. Like now I got to go reset all the keys in the env file. And also the weird thing is you even set these rules sometimes. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you got to remind you, like, hey, remember not to do this. Like, don't do this. Like, it's like a really intelligent individual, but also it's weird how they sometimes, even if you set rules, sometimes they forget them or make mistakes, or how I think memory. I think memory is the next big conversation as well. Like, so where stuff's housed and what is your data memory structure? That's an interesting question.
So that's why I don't like people working in their, I don't like people working in the chat windows because of that. So anybody who's listening, if you worked in a chat, you'll be half an hour in and then it just seems to all forget. If anybody's played with OpenClaw when it first came out, that was when you felt it the worst. Like you'd be 45 hour in, and all of a sudden it was like someone erased its memory. It's like what it compacted.
It just compressed it. Yeah. It just compressed it all. Yep. And it just you got to be familiar, like anything you talk about, like you should be closing out those sessions to keep it really tight. And that's what I've seen on like enterprise setups. Like it's very, very tight on everything that's done. Yeah.
So we'll build the folder structure. So SEO. So I have an SEO audit folder, right? And so that has inside it's a template. So you go in there, it has an agent file that tells the agent what it needs to do. You have a .env file that has the API keys that we might connect to. It has a memory file. That's general memory. So when I fire that off, I'm in an IDE with the folder structure open. I use Claude Code in my IDE. My team uses all of them, but I particularly use that one. So I'll open a Claude Code window, right? And so let's say something happened with that audit the last time I didn't like. I can use that Claude Code to edit the instructions of that folder, but I'm not going to work in that window when I go to actually run an audit. I'll open another window. So I do this all the time. I'll have a Claude Code window open. I'll be running an audit and something will happen that I didn't like. Obviously my instructions were off or wrong, or it just wasn't there. I'll go back to the window that's coding the agent. I'll change it there because it has all that context. And then I will switch back to the audit window. And so I'm not overlapping. I'm not mixing its memory on what it's doing. But the folder system is all getting updated in real time. So the folder system stays tight. So yesterday I was trying to figure out prototyping. So one of the issues we run into is directionally, like, how do we get clients to agree to a web design faster? Because it takes so much time. You got to go through discovery, then you have to design, and it's 2 to 3 weeks they're going to see design. How cool would it be? They're excited. 48, 72 hours later, you're like, hey, is this kind of the direction you were? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, so I was building an agent that helped do that. And so, I was opening multiple windows. So the first agent, I built it. The second agent, I tried to run a first pass at it. It messed up. And then I was like, all right, this is where you messed up. So it was editing itself. And I opened a third window. Now it has none of the context of the previous two. It only has the context of the memory file and what it's written. And so you can keep it clean and you can test. And so these are like little things. If you don't spend time in AI, you don't find them. You like the sales team that I know, they just sit in their chat window and he's like, it just forgot. I'm like, you got to get out of the chat window. It's too memory intensive on the like Anthropic or OpenAI. They're not gonna have that persistent memory the way you can build it yourself. So that's a little bit on memory, how we do it, how I do it.
I think that's a good best practice. I would say also don't keep your INV file open because like it can sometimes copy and pull from that accidentally. Like there's some bad, like for me, I dove into AI right away, but as kind of, I don't know, influence or whatever, I didn't talk about it. Like I didn't talk about it. I'm like, I need to understand this stuff before I say anything. So I went back and took a lot of classes. I did a lot of education to build like the transistor foundation, like how does it work? Like what goes into it? Like you got to know a lot about programming. Not like you don't need to know how to code, but you need to know how programming works and how engineers think. And so being an engineer, like you got this like, you know, a head start for a lot of people. But I mean, I think everybody felt it too. Like when you take a non-technical person and you're like, oh, here's how we have Facebook set up. And there's like 3 tiers. Like for almost everybody I've talked to, they're like, what? There's 3 different logins and 3 different permission sets that do like that. Like you said, that transition of thinking this way and then this like wasn't happening. I think even early on. Now I think it's getting better and better. It's more intuitive, but you like right now, like you're talking about everybody, like individuals that are like power users building their own ecosystems. Absolutely. And it's like, okay, so you have a couple people that are off to the races and then you're like, okay, other people are getting left behind. How do we get on a system that like everybody can use it? And we were starting to do like custom GPTs or gems or whatever you want to call it to build those kind of little data lakes for clients and stuff like that early on. But then there's like the step change of, okay, like let's go fully agentic. Okay, like what do we want to give them access to? And all the horror stories, which there's actually a paper I really want to read that just came out of like, basically they let the agents run loose. But I mean, that's basically what OpenClaw was, right? Like a bunch of people that don't know how these things work or how to set up rules. Just sort of like, here's my credit card and like, you know, here's access to like my email and like everything. And just like, let's see what they do. Right. And then there's cron jobs running in the background and like crazy things are happening. And I don't know how much of that was sensationalized, but you know, like what was it that platform where they all talk, you know what I mean? Like,
where they let their agents,
or whatever.
They let their agents go wild and create like a social media, and it looked like they were plotting against us. And then it came out that people were like figured out how to make them post. Like it was a wild 72 hours.
So I think a lot of people are really unsure of AI, and they don't understand how it works. And I've heard some like different things and. You know, even in the past, we had a couple people on our team when it came out that really weren't comfortable with it, and we had to part ways. And you know, I think that what's funny is now some of those people I can tell because they got the dashes in their posts, right? Like, but I don't know. I think it's a really crazy world right now, and I think I would go back to saying the marketers that can understand how to use this and use it early are going to have a huge advantage. And what I'm seeing is I'm getting a lot of requests like you to move outside of marketing, to move into more operations, to move into applied AI in different areas. And I mean, it's kind of like SEO, right? Like you do it in this industry, you do it in this industry. It's still the basic foundation. And so now you have this kind of AI layer that you understand. And when you look through that lens or those glasses, if you will, you can apply it to almost anything once you understand like how it works or what the workflow is. And I mean, one of the data points that was just shocking, and I believe I've shared it in the past, but 71% of businesses are still operating like the industrial era. And an example of that is copying and pasting spreadsheets. And I've had people show me their workflow of their job, and they're going into this database and they're copying this and they're pasting it here. And then they're grabbing that or something with a screenshot and they're sending an email here. And I was like, okay. And I was like, what else are you doing? And I'm like, no, that's my whole job. And I was just like, okay.